Okay, here in this example, I want to show you how to project high resolution detail of a model onto a lower resolution model. And the reason we want to do this is because we want to bring our models into another program such as Maya or Cinema 4D. The high resolution models, they'll open up in another 3D graphics program, but they'll be very hard to manipulate and modify because the polygon count will be so high that when you open this up in another program such as Maya, you won't even be able to see the individual polygons unless you zoom in very closely. So what you get is basically when you're in wireframe mode in one of these programs such as Maya is a very dense mesh, which is very hard to deal with, and it will look like a silhouette when the wireframes are turned on. So if you look in Maya, what you'll see is the high resolution version. So this silhouette, this blue silhouette, what that is the creature I designed in Zbrush, exported as an OBJ file and imported into Maya without creating a low res version. So this is at a high resolution. And in wireframe mode or wireframe on shaded mode here in Maya, you basically can't see any details at all. You have to really zoom in to see those polys. When you're at a high resolution like this, you're not going to get a mesh that is easy to understand because the polygons are so tiny. So really you need to have a mesh that has a lower resolution. And this mesh here is going to work good. Either one of these is fine. But the idea is to get it at a low resolution in ZBrush, bring it into Maya, and that way you can actually see what you're doing. This is really necessary if you're going to rig the mesh, because this high-res mesh, it's going to be really a pain. You can tell that it works. I can navigate, but you don't want to have a high-res mesh like this. What you want is a low-res mesh, and then your textures are going to be exported from ZBrush along with a displacement map to basically recreate the high resolution at render time using textures and displacements. Now that I've showed you what a high resolution model looks like in Maya and why we should be using the low resolution ZBrush model in Maya, let's run through the steps of creating that low resolution model from ZBrush. Let's also talk about how we can use the high resolution model in ZBrush and project that high resolution texture onto the low resolution model using the project tool in ZBrush. So first off, what we will do is duplicate our model here in ZBrush. So under your subtool menu, just click on that duplicate button. Now we're going to apply Zremesher to the duplicate. Typically, I like to bring my target polygon count down to 1, so that's what I'll do. Just go into target polygon count and click 1 there, and then you just hit Zremesher. So it will take a couple seconds here. Okay, my Z-remeshing is now complete. Let's hit Shift F to look at this in polyframe mode. And looking at the polygons here, they're a nice size. And this will be nicely viewable in Maya when I export it out of ZBrush. So this looks good. I like this. This is what we'll use. If you want, you can hit the Z-remesher button again while hitting the Alt key on the keyboard. And that will just give you another type of topology using a different Z-remesher algorithm. This is an option that you can decide to use if you want, but I like the other one first, so I'm just going to basically undo and go back to that original Z-remeshed model that we had when we hit the button the first time. So this looks good. So now all I have to do is go up into export and export this model. I can export it as an OBJ, or I can export it as a .ma file. If I have textures and other things on this model, I would want to stick with the .ma. Otherwise, you can use the .obj file. That's the main difference between the two. And the .ma is the default Maya format that you can use. If you're using other applications besides Maya, you'll want to go with the .obj file format.